I've been working on these old cars for 40 years or a little better, and I run into this problem with the AC service ports, which a lot of people have. They're leaking and you can't buy anything to fix the service port with. I was working on a girlfriend's car one day. The air conditioning was leaking and she was complaining. But anyway, I said, well, let me take a look at it. I shot a can of dye in the service port. The dye for these are green. And I had my glasses on, my eyeglasses on, and I was looking at it. And I had a little pick because it was leaking out of this service port. And I took that pick and I hit that little valve down in there, the little non-serviceable valve, and it stuck open on me, and that green dye shot out in my face. I guess I looked like the Hulk. She was trying not to laugh, but if I'd been her, I'd been laughing my butt off. But anyway, I said, man, there's got to be something to fix these without changing a $175 hose. So I looked and I looked and I searched. I went to the internet. Nobody had nothing, so that's when I got to thinking, well, I need to invent something. So I came up with this little valve I call the Rejuv134. It's pretty neat, and it's a lot cheaper than changing the whole line. So anyway, that's how this thing came about. So I'd like to show you how simple this thing is to put on. You have a low side, you have a high side, and sometimes these leak where you put the Freon in. And there are two types, one serviceable and a non-serviceable service port. This serviceable service port has a Schrader valve in here that you can take out and replace. But you need the tool to do that with to keep from losing all your Freon. This tool, I bought this several years ago. It cost about $300 or $400. I don't know what they are now. I've heard there's one cheaper out there. But anyway, it adapts onto here, and the Schrader valve comes out of the line. Right there's a Schrader valve, if you can see that. And with the tool, you put the new Schrader valve back in there, and you're fixed. Pull it off and put the cap back on, and probably put a can of Freon in it, and you're good to go. But, like I say, the tool, you have to buy the tool. Or take it to a mechanic and wind up paying up to $100 an hour for the services plus the Freon, all that. So you might have a fix of $150, $200 there. But there are also the non-serviceable service ports. The service port that you cannot take the Schrader valve out because the Schrader valve does not exist in these. So therefore, you have to have the whole line changed. This is a line. Sometimes the hose, because of the service port, is non-serviceable. And the hose can consist of costing you a few $100 for a hose. Sometimes maybe you might get off light for $75 for a line. A hose like this is pretty expensive. There's a little invention that I came up with. It's called a Rejuv134. This makes this quite simple. You don't, even the serviceable service port, you don't need to go through the mechanic to get this fixed. All you have to do is find which one is leaking, the low side or the high side. There's an easy way to find that out. I'm going to show you in a minute. But with this Rejuv134, it's pretty simple. You just match these things up to the right size, because there's a small one, which is the low side, and there's a large one, which is the high side. You can probably see the difference in the size. You go find which one's leaking. You match up, that's the low side. They match up evenly. And all it takes is just put this little deal right on there. And then all you got to do is go to one of your major department stores or one of your major parts stores or something. Excuse me a minute, let me get this over here. Buy you a can of 134. You can buy this little gauge right here. It's got a little gauge on the end of it. You just hook this right on the can, right on the gauge. Go on there. Yeah, you screw it down real tight, and then you hook this into your service port, like so, and pull the trigger. And it's going to show you, you got to have your AC on and running in the vehicle. I'm going to show you that in a moment. But anyway, that's how this works. It's cheap, it's simple, and it's fast and easy.